Esposito?
Sposito.
Sposito.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Sposito. First of all, congratulations being in the second primary. Got to feel good about that.
Thank you. I
Voters
do.
went up real close, almost. I hate to say this, kiss the mic, but no. First of all, congratulations on being in the second primary. Got to feel good about yourself. People going out and putting you in there.
I do. It's exciting times.
And I mean, three, and I'm gonna do this. We had three good candidates to go at, and now we're down to two. So
And Mr. Joe Fertitta is one of the loveliest people I've ever met.
I love the
Like
man,
him and his wife, lifetime public servants. That's really great people.
especially when I'm running across him in spars. I love the man. Hey, Joe, let me drop by you. No, great guy. And when it comes to government, real good. He's somebody that's going to continue it, but now it's, this is your time. This is your opportunity. So to some of our listeners that may, be on the fence, undecided, tell us a little bit about yourself. But first, give us your number. And don't forget, it's this Saturday to vote.
This Saturday, November 16th, polls open at, I believe, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
That's it.
And I'm number 99.
99.
Now I'm going to tell my age. You remember Get Smart, Agent 99?
Yeah.
So-
I keep renewing my same license.
So if you forget.
I'm always 21. Anyway, no, it's great to have you on the program. So let all our listeners know a little bit about yourself.
So I am been married to Paul, my husband, for 28 years.
Yeah, got you on Facebook.
We live in Shag Bay, and we have two sons. And Ty is my oldest son. He's 26, and he has Down syndrome. He goes to the center right there in Cuddle. He's been there for 5 years.
Great.
And loves it there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the best place to eat, by the way.
Yes.
We're going for, I'm going for Thanksgiving dinner there
I
with
was
him.
embarrassed. They wanted me to be a bell ringer. I said, no, you don't do too good out
Yeah,
there.
they do a great job. Anyway, so
Yeah.
my other son, my baby, Ben, Benjamin is 20, he's going to be 22 in December, and he's an LSU student, pre-med, and that's my baby. Yeah. So I graduated from Central Lafourche. I'm very proud of our band. So
Yeah, congrats to them.
yeah, congrats CLHS. So my house is quite a big rivalry. So I graduated from Central. My husband from Thibodeau High. One of my sons, Tyler, who went through Thibodeau High, and then my other son, 3D White. So
You have another son right now down the bayou near South.
right. So yeah, we're spread all spread all over the place.
Yeah.
So I earned my bachelor's and my MBA from Nichols, but I didn't get my bachelor's until I was 42, and didn't get my MBA until I was 46. So when I got out of high school, I had to go take care of myself. I didn't have someone taking care of me, and so I started working at Rouse's when I was 16. Started as a cashier and then advanced through Rouse's over the years. Excuse me. Became the first woman supervisor for Rouse's when I was about 23, 24 years old. And I went to all the stores. I was supervisor over bakery, deli, and catering, and stayed there for 12 years. So
Okay. I thought you were like 31.
I'm 53 years old. I'm 53 years old, and this is my first term on the council.
Well, I'm 60, so you're 7 years away from commodities and they grew.
Oh, darn it. That
Look.
cheese with commodities.
Peanut butter. You served on the Lafourche Parish Council.
Still serving, yes.
Still serving. And, I've watched you over the years, and, sometimes you come out happy. Sometimes I'm wondering why you don't have a helmet from a concussion, sometimes from banging your head. But what has been like serving on the council? Because
Man.
you've seen the diversification, the unity, the split. You've seen everything. What it was like so far working on the council?
Okay, so people are always shocked when I give this data, this information, but in September was the last time I checked. The council, the majority of the council got along well.
Yeah.
We had a 97% pass rate in resolutions, 95% pass rate in ordinances. That's cooperation amongst the majority of the council. And it's just been an honor to serve the public in this way. I think everyone should run for public office at least once in their life. I think everyone should run for a parish-wide office at least once in their life.
I'm back
And
away.
some of these my fellow council members I'll be friends with for life because we stood up for the parish. The majority of us stood up for the parish, even when it would have been easier to rubber stamp something. We worked closely with the district attorney and did the right thing by the parish. And all every time we were called to do so. So I'm very proud of our work, and I know we had disagreements with the parish president, and that's unfortunate.
You wouldn't be the first, but at least y'all came to, it seemed like a happy meeting at times.
Yeah, the majority of the council, I'm telling you, we like I said, that those numbers don't lie. We worked together, and it didn't matter if the project was in North Lafourche, South Lafourche. That those numbers show we supported each other's projects. Yeah. 97 and 95% pass rate. I mean, we all kept the whole parish in mind, and people call me, well, especially now that I've been running for parish president for the last 15 months, but if someone would have, if I'd have happened to be in Cutoff or happened to be in Thibodaux, even though my district is in Chack-Bay-Well, and also Des Allemands, and also part of Raceland, and also west of Thibodaux is my district.
Cousin Tammy's in your area, so.
But when people called me up, we all helped each other. If someone called, we didn't say, well, that's not our responsibility. We helped each other, and we helped residents throughout the parish. So I'm proud of us.
Now, your husband's name's Paul.
Yes.
So one morning, you just didn't wake up and hit Paul and go, "Hey, dude, I think I'm running for parish president." What made you decide to run for parish president? This wasn't an overnight thing of waking up and hitting Paul. Explain, what was the decision that, I want to run for this position?
Right. Well, back when a lot of the reason why I ran for parish president was similar to reason why I ran for council. Lafourche Parish has never pursued economic development, meaning we never pursued diverse industry and jobs, bringing jobs. We've been really dependent on the oil and gas industry. So when I first started thinking about running for parish president, and people were talking to me about it, I looked at who was running, and at that time, it was early on in the race, yeah. and there would have been 4 people. And you don't have to be someone's enemy to want to run against them. It's just that, whether you feel like, you have more experience, or you're more mature, or you have a vision for the parish that others have, so I started looking at who was running, and people started talking to me about running. And I took a trip up and down the bayou, and you start looking around. Now, we drive around all the time, and we think, we see different things, but we're usually just trying to go from point A to point B, right? So when I took a trip down the bayou, and I started looking at it as to where were the problems and what we needed to do to correct the problems. Of course, I always knew about needing industry, needing new jobs, but the problems, like the Valentine Bridge, why was that still out? Why were we having roads that seemed to be neglected? Why was Leeville hurting the way that it is? Why is LA1, I understand with progress there's a price, but when 3235 was built, then LA1 and Golden Meadow and Galliano, those bridges, those businesses on LA1 began hurting because people passed them.
Right.
So whenever you're looking at progress, there's always a price, and I just felt like there wasn't enough vision to do what we had to do as a parish to mitigate that price, to try to offset what progress was going to cause, some of the problems that progress caused. And I kept looking around thinking, well, who can actually have a vision for the parish, who can work hard to bring industry and jobs. And our kids are going to be, my son, who's I just talked to you about, he lived in Wisconsin for 2 years and went to college, played football there, and now he's at LSU. I don't know that he's coming back to Lafourche. And a lot of my friends' children aren't coming back to Lafourche.
Mine is the same. My daughter went to North Carolina, my son went out of state, and this kind of coincides with my next question, because it ties in when you mentioned economic development, infrastructure. Excuse me, I'm giving you my age. I remember the first parish president, 1980, Dick Egley, and every time somebody ran, oh, my master plan, and if I go through what's your master plan, we only have a half hour. We probably can go 6 hours, you and I, on the master plan. So what you're talking about in summary at the same time, what is the biggest problem in Lafourche? What is something we have to look for when it comes to economic development, infrastructure? How do you put that into one, which would be considered your master plan for the parish?
Right. So you're right. We don't have time to go into the master plan, but this is how I describe this. And my husband has worked for Chevrolet for many years, so I need to. I'll relate everything back to Chevrolet. So I describe it like this. It's as though we've taken a Silverado truck, 3,500 dually.
Yeah.
We've dropped our whole economy in the bed of the truck. And we said, okay, oil and gas. The truck, it represents the oil and gas industry. Take us wherever you want to go. And it's a great truck. It's a great vehicle. It's going to last a long time. No one will complain about having that truck. But when roadblocks come up, like a moratorium or fracking,
Yeah.
that slows that truck down. The oil and gas industry, Lafourche Parish slows down. When somebody throws nails in front of the truck's tires, then that's like the threats of lawsuit. And so we're not recovering because our industry, oil and gas, isn't recovering because of the threats of lawsuits. I'm believing. So with only the oil and gas industry as our biggest driver, therein lies the entire problem with why there's not enough opportunity here, why we don't have an increased tax base. And so when I say we have to diversify our economy, we have to bring industry and jobs here, when I'm talking about economic development, we have to get other industry here and jobs so that our kids stay, so that our family members don't leave. And to complete that task, we have to correct our tax issue. We're paying entirely too much taxes. We have to work on our infrastructure. Obviously, we have to always keep in mind coastal restoration and protection. But without the money to do all of the projects that we need to get done, our needs far exceed our resources. So we have to constantly have a vision of where we want to be and what we want Lafourche to be. And that's what I've spent the last 15 months going up and down the bayou and talking about. And look, I've heard from people, you're thinking too big. You're too idealistic.
But you have to.
Well, the point is I think the first person, I think it was 1927 when the first string of lights got hung up in Natchitoches.
When my boss was born.
In Natchitoches, the first person that hung a string of lights in Natchitoches and said, that, this is, who would have thought Natchitoches would turn into being what it is? You can't get a room in Natchitoches, and this was on my mind. I was trying to book something last night. So, if we don't start looking at what we want for the parish, yes, I'm thinking big. Yes, I want businesses all down 32, 35. Yes, I want that Bayou Lafourche, the bayou that runs through us, that connects us. That can be a place of commerce and tourism, and it's the bayou that sustains us. It's beautiful. I mean, if you look at Bayou Lafourche on the south end and the north end, it's a very different vision. It's a very different look. And, when the Weir comes out in Thibodaux, we'll have some more opportunity to actually, my husband and I went into the Colorado River a few months back because I wanted to look at a water taxi. And I wanted to see one in operation. And it was very similar to what we can do in Lafourche Parish, especially when the Weir comes out in Thibodaux. And so, I have these ideas as to how, not just, and when I say if we don't pursue economic development, all we can do is maintain the status quo, well, that's not enough. It's never been enough.
Right.
So I don't want to just restore our coast. I want to build marshlands. I want to build our coast. I don't want to just hang on to the oil and gas industry. I want to bring new industry in. And it's really just requires a lot of work and a vision and a plan. It's not rocket science how you get industry to come. And this is the parish president's main role.
Right. There are steps when it comes to permits and so forth and so on. And no, by thinking big doesn't hurt, because if you think big and it winds up being something small, at least you got something out of it by thinking big. But for what I'm getting at you is you want to kill that existing paradigm. We dependent on the oil field. So in layman's terms, you're thinking outside the box when it comes to diversification.
Exactly. And think of it like this. So I feel like with us just hanging on to that one industry and just praying that it gets back, that the price per barrel goes up, it's like we're the Blockbuster. Remember the Blockbuster, those video stores?
Yeah.
So at one point that was the,
VHS.
at one point that was the thing to have.
Right.
But they didn't have the vision to turn around and do what Netflix did and start streaming movies. They just held on to that one business model, that one plan. And then that's what we're doing if we don't look past just the oil and gas industry. And look, I am I was the only candidate to be endorsed in the primary by the oil and gas industry. I'm the only candidate to be financially supported by the oil and gas industry. I'm pro oil and gas. I'm anti lawsuits. I believe we can correct any problems that we have with our coast through policy, not lawsuits. So it's not that I'm against oil and gas anyway. We still have there's still a lot of possibility to get people back to work in the Gulf of Mexico. Make no mistake about that. But we still there has to be more, or our kids don't come home.
There you go. Now, you know me well. I've talked to you before. You've come done some commercials and stuff. So I always throw a curveball. You ready?
Okay.
And watch my callers. Don't call me. We've heard a lot about the district attorney's office. Okay, that is my pet peeve. Involvement, particularly during this administration. That even to the point you might have heard me on the air. I'm gonna put a jar every time the district attorney comes in and want $1 because I want to buy a car and a Maserati. But we've seen a lot, particularly in this administration. So explain a little bit of this, of why you're needing the opinions, why you're having to get involved. Sometimes it's not that simple. To me, Joe Public, it looks simple, but it's really not that simple. So explain a little bit about a lot of this involvement. So there's my curveball to Lucy.
Okay, so you're not the only one to be confused. Even before I got on the council, I didn't realize how much of a partner the district attorney is with parish government. I mean, when you talk about the parish government is dealing with the district attorney daily, because they are the parish's legal counsel. The council's legal counsel and the parish president's legal counsel equally, okay? So if you imagine, if I make a mistake as a councilwoman and I approve something, say the parish president puts something through and I approve it, and it's a mistake, do you know who that costs? That costs the parish residents something.
You got to call a special meeting?
Well, no, when I say if a mistake is made, aside from calling a special meeting, if we do something that ends up being unethical, that could be malfeasance in office, it's the residents that pay for that. And let's just say, for an example, the Choctaw levy. We're about to see the big bill on that one. Last administration, a levy was put in the wrong place. To correct the problem, still carried over to this administration. They weren't able to correct it with last administration. We're still waiting on that dollar amount.
But who's paying for that?
Yes, residents are paying for it. So if something came before me, I'm not an attorney, nor are any of the other council members. If something came before me and I was concerned if it was the right call for the parish. And not only just, you're not afraid to make a mistake, you have to be careful that you don't do something that costs residents any more. That residents pay for the error. It's a little bit different, if you're in private business, if you lose it, well, it may be your shareholders, but if you own your own business, then that's you that pays the bill. When you work when you're a public servant, you have to be even more careful.
Well, you held at a higher standard.
You're held at a higher standard. We have different rules we live by. We live by a different rule of ethics. We live by a different. We have different laws, in a sense, rules to follow, and. So the district attorney, getting the district attorney to times when I was chairwoman and asked, it's when I was questioning whether or not, if I had a question of whether or not this was right or wrong, or this could cause the taxpayers problems later on, I asked. And if for those that didn't understand, I'd rather err on the side of caution. And that district attorney is the elected official that you have got to get along with as parish president. You've got to, look, I didn't always agree with some of the opinions that came through. I wanted them to go or I'd hope they would go the other way. Or maybe it didn't make sense to me for whatever reason, but I still respected it and followed it because they're the experts on our charter. They're our legal experts. And so that's what they're there for. So I hope people understand that, when the council called for a legal opinion, it was to protect our residents. It was.
I've seen many times you'll defer and then bring it back up next meeting with the district attorney there to give the explanation, which I think is a fantastic job because.
But it slowed things down.
But it did.
But so it's your grandmother's money. It's your money. It's your kids' money.
Yeah.
Do you want me to rush through a council meeting and push something through with no regard for if I'm not certain? So that's why it slowed the process down sometimes. And look, the council took hits for it sometimes.
Yeah.
But I would rather do the right thing and take a personal hit for it than to do the wrong thing and have our residents pay for it.
Could you see that a lot right now? And you being in government so far, you've seen y'all a lot of times become a punching bag, and you see it in municipalities, you see it in the sheriff, district attorney's office. But that was our biggest concern. You've heard a lot of my callers. Oh, they asking for that. But now being explained makes a difference. Okay, so I see the forest, but I don't see the trees. You start showing me the trees, I start putting the puzzle together, and that makes a big difference when you hear something like that. So besides that, you'll have a working relationship. Parish president, you got to look at levy districts. You got to look at the sheriff's office. You got to look at all this as an entity.
All of them.
Because as a council person, there's certain things you have to follow. Okay, you've got one vote. That's it. Parish president, okay, it's a cafeteria. You walk into an empty plate and stuff is going to be thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of your vision. And I'm asking you this because we have about a good 9 minutes. It flies.
Wow,
it's not
that's
like
fast.
It's not like you're following a truck. But
yeah, that definitely did not fly.
I will put this in the best perspective I can. Your vision, you're holding the cafeteria plate. Stuff are going to be thrown in. What is Luci's vision? Not only for the council, but for us and the parish as a whole.
Well, geez, there's so many things. Again, our needs far exceed our resources. I want you to consider this. So the parish has 81 pump stations, 225 pumps, about 6,000 outfall canals. Yet, as a councilwoman, 2 o'clock the other morning, about a week ago, I got a call from a resident that said, I don't hear the pump on in the back of in my backyard. Somebody needs to come and turn on the pump. Well, when Gordy Dove can sit in his living room and check his phone, his smartphone, and see the levels of the water in the ditches, he can turn on pumps, he can turn off pumps, so can his public works director. The fact that we don't have great protection, those people running the pumps are residents, levy district workers, and parish employees. We have to have residents and businesses certain that we are managing their flood protection well, and we need an innovative system. We need to upgrade our drainage system. So that does lead back into economic development. People will move here if they're sure that their homes will be protected.
Right.
People will start businesses here.
Give me a reason.
Right.
To be here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of them.
That's one of them.
The technology, and you just mentioned it, the technology of the infrastructure, the flooding and all this stuff, just having that technology that we're not grasping.
Yeah.
It seems like
And
that's
it all
part of what you want.
boils down to money and vision. That is the system I want. And I'm not going to stop until we get that system. But right now, money is tight. It's been tight with this administration, but there was a time when money wasn't quite as tight. And because we're sort of paying the price for the past, because now moving forward, we have to put our eyes on where we want to be, who we want to be, and start moving in that direction. And think big. Think beyond what anyone thinks we can accomplish, and people are calling me crazy right now, calling me idealistic when I say I want businesses up and down 32, 35. Why not? Why not when people say I want a thriving Main Street between those two bridges in Raceland? I'm not crazy. When people say why do you want that Bayou Lafourche where there's boats going up and down it, whether it be for tourists or travel, that beautiful bayou that sits there. I think I'm not crazy to think that bayou that runs through us will be and eventually what connects us, what connects the north and the south. There's so much more we can do. I'm looking at Bayou Buff and Kramer, all the way in my district, and we have swamp tours there, and we have this awesome boat launch, and we have Bayou Buff right there. Well, why don't we have little tiny cabins for people to rent? And there's so much we can do.
There's so much history that we're losing.
Right. If we don't look at, all up and down this bayou should have access points where people can pull over and enjoy that beautiful bayou that sustains us. So no, I'm crazy enough to believe that 308 and Highway 1 should have shoulders, should have strong shoulders. Highway 20 is in my district.
Shoulder. Thank you.
Yeah. Highway 20. I don't know how many people we've lost on Highway 20.
Yeah.
We should, and right now I started working on that right when I first got in on the council, and it looks like the state is in this stage 0. Only in government would you title something stage 0. It should be stage 1. But
right.
So it looks like a shoulder's going to happen. But
and
how many people have had to die?
With you.
I know. I know.
Not at you.
I know.
Promise. Especially when you said shoulders.
Yeah. So I'm crazy enough to think that that's what we need to shoot for. If we don't have the infrastructure, Valentine Bridge has been out way too long, and I know that when the parish worked with the Port Commission on capital outlay dollars, and when that Galliano pontoon bridge is going to be moved to where the Valentine Bridge is at, and the Valentine Bridge is going to be sold for scrap, but it's not when these bridges go out. We know they're going to. We have to plan ahead for when they do, so that these people aren't stranded on one side of the bayou because we didn't have a plan, because we didn't start putting the money aside. So it's all about planning. It's planning 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line. I'm planning long past my lifetime. And as a parish, that's what we need to do. And we need to just start working in that direction to what we want to be, who we want to be, and stop trying to hold on to what was, or just try to get by. Our kids aren't coming home to that. Our families can't stay to that. With that, we have to demand more, and we need to demand more from government. We need to demand vision and plan and progress.
And I'm glad, I'm going to throw a little bit of this at you. We got about 4 more minutes. When you mentioned bridges, and it's strategic planning, because one time we had the Intercoastal, we had this bridge out right here by T-Bois, we had the Valentine Bridge out in Lockport, and I was late for work. My boss said, "What you did?" I said, "Well, I took the Sunshine Bridge and got on 308."
God.
But it's strategic planning. Like, okay, we know these 2 bridges are gonna be out. Let's work on this bridge, and let's leave this bridge open once this bridge is done. It seemed like at one point there was no planning strategically of what we can do.
Right.
Because a lot of these bridges, some are state-owned, some are parish-owned,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't the council, because a lot of times it was administration.
That rests on the parish president, yes.
They throw the dice and say, okay, snake eyes, let's close them all, not realizing, I got to go to Thibodeau Regional and cross the bridge, or Nichols. Strategic planning, so that's part of what I consider a master plan. We
Right.
hear it, but all years, and it sounds like you really want to put it into effect.
Exactly. And someone told me maybe I was in Galliano. They were talking about a bridge same thing, that when y'all bridges shut down, when the bridges shut down out here, how it cripples our community. So she said, and I bet you one thing, I bet you if that one of those bridges went down in Thibodeau on Canal Boulevard, it would be replaced tomorrow. And what I said to her is this, I said, well, Thibodeau is its own municipality, so when I worked for the city of Thibodeau, I constantly put in capital outlay requests. And you build up, and that's state dollars, okay? Applied for state dollars, and those dollars are building up. So the city of Thibodeau knows those bridges are going to have to be replaced. They're planning ahead of time and applying for state dollars so that when they do have to replace them, they'll have the money to do so. But speaking of those bridges, I mean, right now, our emergency vehicles can't cross them.
Boy, talk about throwing the dice on that.
Yeah.
We have a minute left, Lucy, so I'm going to give you your say and your last push, because you've been out on the streets, a lot of people on the fence.
15 months.
Now's your chance. Now's your chance to let everybody know your number, name, and what you're going to do.
Well, again, I'm Luci Spilzato. I'm number 99. For 15 months, I've run for Lafourche Parish President, and I've met some of the most remarkable people, and I've eaten some of the best food.
Be careful.
Down here. Yeah, I'm a little bit heavier than I was when I started, thanks to down the bayou. But I'd appreciate your vote on Saturday, November 16th, and I'm gonna aggressively pursue jobs in industry, because I want long-term change. I want our kids home. I want our families to be able to stay here, and I want to help with you create the Lafourche of our dreams. We can do it.
And your number is?
99.
So it's 99. And just think of Get Smart. And 99. And I've done this to every candidate comes in. You say, oh boy, here comes Joe, another curveball. I wish you the best of luck. And if you get in there, you're going to make me a promise right now. The Civil War ended in 1870. It's time we stop dividing Lafourche. And please,
Man, I agree.
please bring that. Bring the glue, if you do in, and get us together, because the Civil War ended. I'm tired of North, South, and
It's crazy.
You know, I like Lindell. God bless his soul. I love the man, and he did it one meeting. Civil War ended in the 1870s. I'm tired of it,
I am too.
and I'm glad to hear you do that. The best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Whatever the outcome, hope you're able to relax Sunday.
Oh, I will relax.
Don't watch the Saints, because you may make it worse. But no matter what, I wish you the best of luck, and I thank you so much for coming on. And if God willing you do win, I expect to see you at least once every quarter to give us an update, and I'll call it the state of the parish. I've been
Sounds
hoping
great.
for that, and can't get a parish president to do it. So you know what? I'll make some coffee and cookies, and that way.
I just need black coffee.
Black coffee.
That's all
I
I
know
need.
we just ran out. But I think they say get people to vote. I said put a Snickers bar, and man, you could get a 90% turnout. The best of luck to you.
Thank
and
you, Joey.
all the hard work you're doing, and thank you for the work you're doing on the Lafourche Parish Council at the same time. It's not going unnoticed, and it's not in vain. Thank you, Luci.
Thanks so much.
And we thank all of y'all.